political. That is Edwin Sifuna talking to Mwashumbe and Mwakide on the whole cracks in the ODM party and the expelled members, and even a whole follow-up on that, taking a look at, even as he was mentioning, 5 ODM MPs moving to the political parties tribunal in Kisumu to challenge the expulsion from the party. Will definitely be taking a look at how that will be unfolding. But remember, the question of the day this morning, as we, are we losing the war against drug abuse? And right here on my screen, I do have that particular question actually on X. A report by NACADA indicating the alcohol from 2017 to 2022. But I'm being told, even as you get into county diary, speaking of counties actually, crossing over to county 032 in Nakuru County, where very own Chichi Josephine is. Chichi, a very good morning to you. How is it like in Nakuru this particular day? I can say it is quite bright and shiny. What should we be expecting in Nakuru? Nakuru also features largely on this particular report by NACADA. How is the war against drug abuse in Nakuru?
Stanley, a very good morning to you, and indeed, like you said, we're coming live to you from Nakuru County. Quite a beautiful morning here. It's a sunny morning, and of course, quite a lot of activities are expected to take place today, and of course, in the course of the week, because Nakuru County is one of the busiest counties in Kenya. And of course, to start with is about the gender-based violence training that is, of course, taking place today at the Waterback Hotel. Of course, it's taking place between the AWC, that is the African Woman and Child Future, also training the security officers in this particular county. And of course, this comes despite the 16-day, or rather, this comes despite the vocal 16 days of activism against gender-based violence campaigns that were held early this year. And of course, these particular cases of gender-based violence in Nakuru County have remained on the rise, and these cases have been dealt with, but still remain on the rise. And of course, with this, in this regard, of the AWC, that is the Africa Woman and Child Future Services, is holding a training meeting at the Waterback Hotel with the security officers, targeting the officers that work at the gender desk, and of course, teaching them in matters, or rather sensitizing them and being able to know how best to handle these particular matters. And of course, there are quite other things that they will be discussing about concerning the same, and other areas include child grooming. This is totally, or rather basically communicating, or rather attempting to befriend or have a romantic relationship with a child. These also, they will also know how to tackle this particular matter. Other areas will be regarding the sexting, that is the act of sending nudes or semi-nudes photos to children, or rather texting them based on explicit videos, or rather sending the explicit videos. And of course, among other things that will be, they will be, of course, tackling today. And therefore, I'll be able to talk to one of the activists of the gender-based violence in this particular county to tell us what are the cases, or rather what are the probable reasons as to why these particular cases are on the rise in this particular county. Thank you so much, Martin, for talking to us. And right today, there is a training that is ongoing at Waterback Hotel, of course, with the security officers being taught, or rather sensitized on how to handle this particular matter. You as an activist, what would you say are the probable reasons as to why these particular cases are on the rise?
Yeah, one, I want to say that gender-based violence is increasing day in, day out, because one, this started highly when we started experiencing the problem that came with coronavirus, or the pandemic on COVID, and therefore it was very, very economical crisis that made a lot of people have a lot of mental issues or mental problems. And I can just attest that most of the challenges that we are having today are contributed highly by the mental health issues that we are having as a country because of the high economic crisis. We all know that the cost of living has gone high, and therefore, and we all know the culture about our country, the trends that if, for example, you are a man, you are dependent on or upon with several people, several communities, siblings, and so forth. So most of the time you realize that men are into much pressure that is contributing highly for them to be reactive. And we can agree that it's not easy for a man to open up, more especially when they are being pressed. So they tend to bring or to remain with their challenges internally, but by the time the challenges are now exploding, they must have a defensive mechanism. And unfortunately, this ends up being another gender. So I think what is happening here is that as a country, we've not put into place clear structures, clear frameworks, the policies that are effectively being implemented by the governments, both at the national and the county governments, to mitigate that. How do we ensure that there is a balance, or there's a balance on our economy, there's a balance on issues that we discuss about gender-based violence, there is a balance when it comes to talking to men, gender, male responsibilities, that we need to balance so that people do not just think that without men the economy cannot grow, that without men, women cannot do their own things. So it's very, very important as we speak. And I know there are cases, even the police officers who have killed each other because of the same problems. And people ask, why are the police officers killing each other? I think a challenge that comes with mental health to not discriminate any job group or whichever institution that you are in. A mental issue is affecting an individual, and therefore if that individual has not gotten a chance or a way of expressing what they feel, is undermining their human rights, is undermining their well-being, is undermining their stability of health, then automatically they must be reactive. Even in the health sector, you realize that even doctors are also doing the same things, nurses are doing the same thing. So the question we need to ask ourselves, do we have mental health facilities that are not perceived to be people who are mad, but a mental health facility that is integrated, that will have counseling services for the population, that will have issues that can be discussed in the town hall forum, so that people could understand that a mental problem is not necessarily for you to be mad, but the challenges that are coming around it, like the pressure that you might want to get, the pressure that might let you do something that is not by the will of what you wanted to do, but because of the pressure that you've come across.
And I understand you really have a group, and you as an activist, have you bestowed yourself, or rather yourselves, a responsibility to probably get into the interior parts of Nakuru and talk to people in regards to the same?
Yes, we are doing two things at the county level. The first thing is that we are sensitizing our public to understand that there is need for them to accept that when there's challenge, and those challenges will be dealt with, and you cannot deal with a challenge as an individual. There is need for us to share our challenges. There is need for us to have a unique model in our health facilities so that people can go and get these services. So we do more of referrals in case we need to have psychosocial support from our population that we are working with. We also encourage that it's very important that we have an effective environment in our working places, so that if you are a leader in an organization or in a company, make an environment that is friendly for people so that they can as well come and talk to you using the human rights-based approach. Another thing that we are doing as an organization and as a group is to enhance agenda policy at the county level, as well as a gender equality bill at the county assembly. All these documents are taking place to ensure that there are mechanisms of referral, there are mechanisms of institutionalizing mental health in all the institutions and the sectors that are within the county levels.
And as a person, do you think the children department has really done something to ensure that they deal with these cases of gender-based violence, especially when they happen to children?
I think the problem we are having with the Department of Children is that one, we have the Children's Act that is supposed to be implemented by the Children Department, but again, there are other intersectional issues that are coming in. We all know that the emerging issues are so much. The issues of technology, the issues of social media is increasingly being friendly to the young people, and the content that is being provided there automatically is influencing the thinking and the reasoning of the young people. Today, Chichi will agree that our today's society, the young people are much informed, even more than us in our age. So how do we then ensure that the Children Department do not only restrict on the act that is there, but also look for a way to ensure that the Children Act is amended to fit the challenges that are affecting the young people at this moment. So I think that's the key issue that we'll want to talk about. And again, the Children's Department should intersect with other departments at the national level, at the county level, so that we are having an intersectional way of approaching our children's issues, even in the school and the education.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Martin. Therefore, Stanley, that is one of the activists in this particular county. Of course, one of the renowned activists in this very county concerning the gender-based violence, and that is just one of the activity that is ongoing today. Remember, like I have said, is that there is a training with the AWC and the security officers who are being sensitized and being taught how to deal with these particular matters. But of course, we have quite other activities that are expected to take place in this very county, where the Nakuru County Police Commander will pay a courtesy call to the Nakuru Governor, that is Susan Kihika, at the county headquarters. That will happen at 10 a.m. Of course, they will be discussing matters on security pertaining to a particular county, and of course later Ndanyi, who is the police county commander, that is Samuel Ndanyi, will also hold a meeting with the OCPDs from all the 11 sub-counties to discuss matter security of the county, and of course place proper preparations ahead of the national examinations that will be taking place later, and that is in some few months to come. And the examinations, of course, those are the KCP, KCSE, and the KEPSER. That will be the county police commander holding meetings with the OCPD to discuss on how to do better preparations ahead of the examinations. That will take place at 10 a.m. today. And also Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika is expected to hold a cabinet meeting with his, with the CECs in this particular county, of course, also discussing matters development and how to move Nakuru forward. That will take place at 11 a.m. today. And at 12, Food and Agriculture, that is Organization FAO, will be meeting at Lake Naivasha Resort, of course, with the Chief Officer for Agriculture, Newton Mwaura, attending the meeting. They will be discussing on how best to ensure that Nakuru is food secure. And going on is that tomorrow, that is on Wednesday, 13th September, there will be a courtesy call by the Vice Chancellor of National Defense University, that is Major S.M. Farah, who will pay a courtesy call to the Nakuru Governor Susan Kihika. And we do not know what will be discussed, but maybe we shall have, or rather the governor will hold a presser later in the day, and we shall be able to follow up on that particular news, or rather story. That is all that is expected to happen as from today to tomorrow. And of course on Saturday, that is on 16th September, 16th September is the World Ozone Day and also the World Identity Day. So these two celebrations will also take place in this very county, where the World Ozone Day celebrations will take place at RVIST, that is the Rift Valley Institute of Technology, where the CS for Environment, Climate Change and Forestry, that is Soipan Tuya, will grace the occasion, and the World Identity Day will take place at the Nyayo Gardens here in Nakuru County. So those are some of the stories that I will be keeping an eye on as from today, going through the week, and I shall be able, of course, to let our viewers know what is happening, or rather what will be happening in this particular county. Stanley?
Nakuru County, and man, you've heard all that. Speak up. And actually mentioning about the days today. Today is gym day, by the way. If you're planning not to go to the gym, today is gym day, so make an effort to do that. Let's cross over to West Pokot County now, and our very own Andre Juma is there. Andre, good morning. What is the latest in matter security and other issues relating to West Pokot today?
A very good morning, colleague from Nairobi. Here in Kapenguria, West Pokot County, today we are expecting the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, this is Kithure Kindiki, the Cabinet Secretary for Roads, Kipchumba Murkomen, and also the Cabinet Secretary for Defense, Aden Duale, to tour this area to just have a consultative meeting with locals on matters to do with security. Remember, West Pokot County is among the counties counties which have been affected by cases to do with insecurity. And here with me, allow me speak with the locals to share with us maybe what do they expect today, maybe some of their views on matters to do with security. Songea hapa, karibu sana kwa TV47. Leo hii waziri Kindiki, Murkomen na Duale watakuwa wanazuru county ya West Pokot. Nyinyi kama wakazi wa West Pokot, pengine matarajio yenu ni gani mawaziri hao wanapokuwa wanafika eneo hili kwa mambo na usalama? Anza kwa jina lako ukiangalia.
Yes, kwa majina langu naitwa Joseph Lokiranyang, mkaaji hapa West Pokot County. Na matarajio yetu ni kwamba ama hapa awali mambo ilikuwa si mzuri sana upande wa security, lakini tangu Kindiki aingie mambo imebadilika kidogo, mambo ya wizi, mambo ya uchambazi mingi imepungua. So tunatarajia akuje atupe neno ambaye anaweza kutusaidia upande wa security. Na upande mwingine pia tungependa ingewezekana kwa mkubwa huyo Kindiki tusaidie wale maafisa wamekaa mahali moja kwa muda mrefu, wajaribu kusaidia kupeleka transfers, ndio isiwe ni mambo ya kusoyana. Wale wakora wako kuna uwezekano wanaweza kuwa wamejuana na hao wengine, na tunaomba ya kwamba tupate nafasi ya kupewa transfers ili wengine wakuje wapya, na kasi itakuwa ni mzuri. So tunatarajia mambo mazuri kutoka kwake.
Je, mambo na barabara, waziri Murkomen pia anapokuwa anaandamana na wao, unamwambiaje kuhusiana na mambo na barabara za usalama?
Hapa West Pokot hapa barabara bado ni si mzuri sana, na hiyo ndio inachangia upande wa insecurity. Tungeomba ya kwamba tusaidie na kufungua mabarabara, ndio iwe rahisi kwa officers wa security wapite ama kufanya patrols kwa njia ya urahisi.
Asante sana. Allow me also speak to another local here. Karibia sana mama. Tuanze na wewe kwanza kabla ya mzee kuja. Anza kwa jina lako kama mkazi wa West Pokot. Je, umeridhishwa na utendakazi wa waziri Kindiki anapokuja West Pokot? Unamwambia nini ukiangalia kule?
Kwa majina ni Sylvia Chepkemei, mimi ni mkazi wa West Pokot. Naambia waziri wa Interior wa security Mr. Kindiki, naambia pongezi sana. Hapa wali hatukuwa na security mzuri. Kwa sasa hivi naona waheshimiwa wetu kutangu gavana mpaka hadi mchumbe MCS na hata wachifu wetu wameungana kupitia mkono yake ya Kindiki. Mimi naona security si mbaya sana katika kaunti ya West Pokot.
Pengine waziri Murkomen pia anapokuja, mambo ya barabara unamwambiaje?
Naambia Murkomen mambo ya barabara haijakuwa kamilifu sana, sababu ningeomba sana barabara itokee kwa kila kona, iundwe kwa kila kona. Mkora akitokea huku tunapitia huko. Naomba sana barabara iingie katika kaunti ya West Pokot kwa kila kona.
Asante sana mama. Karibia pia kama mkazi wa West Pokot, maybe jitambulishe tu, waziri wanapokuja hapa ziara yao hapa kutembea kaunti ya West Pokot kuona mambo ya usalama, pengine wewe kama mkazi wa huku nawaambia jambo unatarajia nini?
Kwanza naitwa Daniel Rotich, mkaaji wa Makutano. Kwanza tunawakaribisha viongozi ambao wanakuja hapa West Pokot. Kwa mambo ya security tungeliomba sana wakati waziri anakuja, ya kwanza tuna appreciate mwanzo hatukuwa na security mzuri katika West Pokot, lakini kwa wakati huu Kindiki amejaribu kabisa. Kila ambacho ningeomba wakati wanakuja na Mr. Murkomen, tunaomba wao as national government waweze kuensure kwamba kule ambako kuna shida, area ya Lami Nyeusi, area ya Takwel ambaye ni majirani yetu upande wa Turkana, tungeomba na wao pia wafanye kama national government wanaweza kumap those areas, wachore iwe ni marketplaces ambaye center itadevelop upande ya Lami Nyeusi na upande ya Takwel, ili kwamba hii watu wao wana cross border ya Turkana na West Pokot wafanye biashara ili kuinua uchumi ya pande hiyo. Na kwa upande wa waziri wa barabara Mr. Murkomen, tungeliomba waweze kutengeneza barabara isunguke area zote ambaye kuna insecurity. Otherwise mambo yote yenye Kindiki amefanya tunafurahia na tunampea kongole na tunamwomba aendelee vizuri na hiyo mipango ya kuhakikisha kwamba jamii zetu ambazo tunakosana na wao, wale wa Turkana, wale wa Marakwet na wengine kule Samburu, sio wote ni wakora. Jamii hatuwezi kulaumu jamii mzima. Kule kwa Waturkana hatusemi kwamba Waturkana wote ni wakora. Kuna wachache wao ambaye ni wakora. Ndani ya Wapokot pia kuna wakora ambao ni wachache. Ndani ya Marakwet kuna wakora ambao ni wachache. Wao, those few elements wangeweza kuwa ripped out, watolewe, lakini sio kuvictimize jamii mzima. Otherwise, sila masoko sikijengwa kule mwisho vile president alisema, we need to ensure kwamba kuna resources within those areas ambaye ni crime prone areas. Wakijenga hizo masoko, hii jamii zote zitakuwa zinaingiliana na amani itakuja baadaye.
Thank you so much. Nichukue pia maoni mwingine hapa. Hebu karibia, utakuwa wa mwisho. Simama hapa. Anza tu kwa jina. Waziri Kindiki anapokuja kaunti ya West Pokot, anakuja na mwenzake wa barabara Kipchumba Murkomen na ule wa ulinzi Duale. Wewe kama mkazi wa huku, je, umeridhishwa na hali ya usalama katika kaunti yako?
Kwa majina naitwa Maxwell Rotich Lorema, mkaaji wa West Pokot. Kwanza ni kushukuru Kindiki kwa mabadiliko ile tumeona, si kama mbeleni. Tungewanelea pia waunganishe jamii. Kuna njia mingi ya kuunganisha hawa, kama shule. Wengi ni vijana na wamekataa shule, wameingia kwa ukora, lakini kulingana na vile maneno yanaenda mbele ni sawa. Alafu kwa upande wa barabara, kwa Waziri Murkomen pia atufanyie manjia mingi ya ndani. Kuna ile vichochoro ya kwenda kijijini, hata hiyo na apanue mpaka huko chini. Hasa tutakuwa tumesiba hiyo ukora wengine. Asante.
Thank you so much. Colleague, yamekuwa tu ni maoni ama hisia za wakazi wa kaunti wanapokuwa wanatarajia pengine ujio wa mawaziri hawa ambao watakuwa wanafanya mkutano hapa, and we are hoping that when they come here, wakazi watakuwa wanaridhika na ziara ya mawaziri hawa ili kuhakikisha tu kwamba hali ya usalama inazidi kuimarika. Kutoka kaunti ya Pokot Magharibi, jina langu ni Andrew Juma, and back to you.
Asante sana, Andrew Juma from West Pokot, specifically in Kapenguria, getting the sentiments of the residents there pertaining matters state of the nation. Basically, we're taking a short break. I do have with me right here our environmentalist in the newsroom, that is Sheila Chelangat. After this particular short break, remember we are asking you that particular question right about behind me. Are we losing the war against drug abuse? I'm curious what your sentiments are. I'll be taking a look at them when we come back.
Morning. Let's start with, it's the 12th of September, just a day to probably inching closer to the 1 year after Kenya Kwanza assumed office and is now the government of the day. We look at what is, and you know, right now we are having what is their scorecard looking like 1 year after, 1 year later since they assumed office. And so today we will be having, you know, Infotrak releasing a report which they say is from the citizens' point of view. Therefore, they will be dealing with what is the perception of Kenyans towards the government, what is the change, is there change so far in the style of leadership, in the style of, you know, everything in terms of economic change.
The whole economic recovery.
Yes,
even as the government
yes. So we will be looking forward to see probably what is the overall performance of the president as well as his cabinet secretaries, and also we'll be looking to have who is the best performing cabinet secretary, what is the best performing ministry. And that really comes in handy because, you know, Kenya Kwanza, when they assumed office, they did come with a plan that they dubbed the promise. And then how far are we in this plan? What are the challenges we're facing so far? And probably where are we headed to as a country?
Most definitely. I'm actually curious the kind of things that will be said, the kind of numbers that will be thrown out by the Infotrak report.
Therefore, we are really feeling the pinch. Most are feeling the pinch of these taxes, and therefore, let's look at what the citizens really have to say about that.
Most definitely. And now to matters health. Today, we're expecting a strike by the KMPDU.
Health also, you know, is one of the sectors that have had some of proposals and changes towards, you know, what the government right now is saying that would be an improvement to this sector. And so today we will be expecting sort of a peace walk, that is what they have termed it as, from the Kenya Medical and Practitioners, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentist Union, KMPDU. They are looking into, you know, some of the issues and challenges they are facing as a sector, as a union. And therefore, they have organized a procession that would be from the Kenyatta National Hospital to the Ministry of Health and later on into the Council of Governors' offices. And they intend to present their petition on what the state of health is like in Kenya, because they're coming in with some issues stating that there is underemployment in Kenya, whereby you find that some hospital and facilities lack really the healthcare workers, and they say that this is now leading into a crisis in some of the hospitals. Also, they are stating that there is scarcity of vital resources in terms of, you know, medicine, surgery equipment in some hospitals. Therefore, this also as they petition for the welfare of the doctor. What is the doctor getting at the end of the day, and how wholesome is this sector, the health sector, you know, benefiting at this time with some of the proposals that the government is putting forth.
Yes, definitely. I'm taking a look at the Twitter handle for Davji Bimji Tella, the Secretary General of KMPDU, also listing this particular details that you know, talking about matters and employment and re-employment of doctors, better times of employment, deteriorating healthcare system, poor working conditions, actually. And actually, this even reminds me of yesterday's you know, talk with Andrew Clemi, the Cabinet Secretary of Health, Susan Nakumicha, speaking largely on you know, her scorecard in the ministry. And today we also expect to see her now with the Council of Governors. It is going to be interesting. On the sidelines of this particular strike, the Cabinet Secretary of Health will be, you know, the Minister of Health launching what exactly?
They would be launching a pediatric fellowship and launch.
Okay,
Yes, today. It would be happening today. But, you know, also in health, a lot is happening. I feel like this week might be the health week because remember the expose about the syndicate between 8 hospitals and some NHIF staff that was done earlier on this year, which it is said that they defrauded defrauded unsuspecting Kenyans by having falsified claims as well as capitation for some of these facilities. And so today we would be expecting to see some of the owners and proprietors of these facilities appearing before the National Assembly Department Committee on Health. Probably they would be giving now insight on how some of these activities and operations were going on in these facilities. And they include just but a few, to name but a few, Afya Bora in Kirinyaga and Jekim in Meru. And since the expose, the operations of these hospitals were definitely suspended. So as they probably vouch to have their facilities come back and be revived, it would be such a moment where we are waiting to see why did they take part in some of these defrauding activities.
And hopefully it won't just end in the files as recommendations, but then actually things will be done, and the whole long arm of the law will take place in even others that are not reflecting here. Any other matters on health?
Probably WorldCoin. They said it had some health concerns on people.
Allegedly.
So today, again, the inquiry on WorldCoin continues. The ad hoc committee is meeting Sense Marketing, which they say is a subsidiary of the WorldCoin company. Then, this comes at the backdrop where the ICT CS yesterday said that, the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner might have, failed to look at some of the red flags before giving the green light for the WorldCoin to assume operations in the country. So it is a story we're definitely looking into.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm actually taking a look at even actually formed the front page of, the Standard, saying how the CS ICT Wallo, threw the data boss under the bus on these particular matters. And they actually quoted a number here, 60 days, that is the period the Office of the Data Protection Commission directed WorldCoin to suspend its operations in the country. You can definitely dive into that story on page 5 of the Standard, even as we expect how this whole outcome will be. At the end of the day, probably from where you stand, in your knowledge, when do we expect this ad hoc committee to finalize its, inquiries so that they can actually table a report in the National Assembly?
We really cannot pinpoint on a particular date because we still have a lot of stakeholders who took part in, the whole letting them come into the country and even them themselves being in the country. And, we still need to find, how data from Kenyans is safe now that most of it, we hear that are not being stored in the country. So we cannot really pinpoint on a particular date, but probably next year, at the end of this year, we should expect a report from them.
Right.
Yes.
Any other happenings this particular day?
Probably what is happening in the world of sports.
On the world of sports, well, today at 4 p.m., Kenya versus South Sudan, there is Harambee Stars versus the Bright Stars. We definitely expect to see what Engin Firat, is the head coach for Harambee Stars, will be saying, for this particular matter. This will be the 5th meeting by the two neighboring countries.
Yes.
Kenya beat Qatar the last week, and it was a whole moment of excitement, even for Kenya. I mean, there were a number of Kenyans in that particular stadium, I think Al Janoub Stadium in Qatar. So it's going to be now interesting to see if more Kenyans will actually be filling up, because they'll be playing in our home ground in Moi Sports International in Kasarani.
Absolutely.
So
I think it's that moment where we're like, go Kenya, go Harambee Stars. Yes?
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. That is definitely what we do expect in the subsequent bulletins, but definitely expect more. Asante sana, Sheila Chelangat.
Thank you very much for having me.
Right. That is all for that particular diary. But then if you missed it, this is in our graphics form, what to expect in that particular diary this morning. As we were alluding, that particular KMPDU strike begins actually in about 20 minutes from now. We will be following up on that. I'm actually skimming through digital platforms, and actually the Twitter handle of Damji Bimji Atela, Secretary General KMPDU, getting to see if there's any update on the same. The procession from KNH all the way to the Ministry of Health ministries, and also that particular International Telecommunications Week, just to break down for you what it really means for you as a common mwananchi. The Telecommunications Week. Away from the matters boardroom meetings, what does the Telecommunications Week mean for you? We'll also be getting those numbers and statistics on the same. And as we were leading that particular big game today, the friendlies, Kenya, South Sudan. And I also even have Fred with me. Fred, I mean, it's quite sad that Kenya is not once again in AFCON.
Well, yes, of course, that FIFA ban affected us. We had no opportunity. Once you're under ban by FIFA, you're not eligible for any major tournaments. But so there's still an opportunity now that the ban was lifted. There's still an opportunity.
And actually, speaking of opportunities, in the coming November, the 2026 World Cup qualifiers begin.
Well, yes, if at all we can go that far. But let me not be so pessimistic. Anything can happen.
Oh, yes.
We love the game of football.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And even as we finalize on today's diary, that is the Africa Paralympics game, expected to wrap up today. Curtains close in Accra, Ghana for the same. We'll be expecting Team Kenya jetting back into the country and back to the country in a few days from now. But at the moment, you can definitely take a look at what Kenyans are saying. On the conversation this particular morning. This is on X, TV47 News.
Okay.
We're asking, are we losing the war against drug abuse?
Where's the feedback? I'd like to sample some. Oh, yeah, okay.
They will definitely have it.
Yes, and Jose Felix Awar says we are not losing, we've lost. Unfortunate turn of events there. Ebi Mwanga says we already lost war on employment, education and health services. The only way is for the youth to hide their depression by using alcohol and bang. If one rarely takes 2 meals a day, where will he get money to seek a psychologist or counselor? Wow.
Quite pertinent questions. That is on X. Now on Facebook, Governor Baston, I don't know if he's a real governor, where is marijuana ranked? That is his question. Peter Tiromp says, his motto is, my motto, if you don't bother alcohol, it bothers you. Heshima.
Wow.
Kim Hadi, we have lost the battle. Vincent Kilu, we lost Kitambo. Look at the number of clubs, bars and alcohol joints in your area. The booming business nowadays is sale of alcohol. And on Tumo Charles Nyamesa, Watu Wakule Hub and Popular Opinion, use of bang is the new normal. Alcohol is readily available and cheap. That is the reason why it is commonly abused. And Kase Sana says weed is illegal in Kenya. Let's keep it that way. Prince Munyia Jr., was there any war against drugs in the first place? It's getting worse with this economy. Another one here, Ondiek J. Otieno Jakulanya, the generation is cast. Caster Judy, is alcohol a drug? Is it? That is his question on the same. This conversation, again, definitely.
I like this one by Jose Josiah on X. He says, drugs will drug you to death.
Oh, yes. Most definitely. Going with the numbers that you're seeing, even the percentages that are on the front pages of this dailies, that is a very correct statement.
It is a serious state of affairs, especially seeing it that the people who are using drugs are now even younger than before, grade 1 children. And I think that is more worrying. When it comes to adults, whatever you choose to do, as long as it's legal, it's up to you. If you go for the illegal, then you will definitely face the law.
And even as you continue, it's interesting how early this year, NACADA released a report, and they were also detailing how children as young as 7 years old were using tobacco. So we definitely expect to see that in a trend when you release a report. We do have sensitization, and these numbers should be going down. I mean, if in the first report they were about, children as
the question we've been asking all through this show. In whose manifesto is it in? That war against drugs. In whose manifesto? Probably the authorities are not really keen on that issue. Because once they decide this is the route we will take, believe you me, I don't think there's anything too difficult for any government. So
now the question lies, who is supposed to fight
exactly
drugs?
Who is interested in fighting drug abuse?
I mean, the authorities supposed to do this, but then
is there political goodwill?
Is there goodwill on this?
I was listening to you go through the diary and just came across this. Today is Enkutetash. It is the Ethiopian New Year. Yes?
Oh, yes.
It's a public holiday in Ethiopia and Eritrea.
Yeah.
And it occurs on Meskerem, first on the Ethiopian calendar, which is 11th of September, or during a leap year, 12th of September. This year it falls on the 12th of September. So to all our Ethiopian and Eritrean brothers and sisters, Happy New Year.
Most definitely. Today is actually World Gym Day. Any plans?
Yes, there's a new gym being opened right next to where I live. So I'm waiting for the construction to end. And definitely, once it's done, I'll be the first client.
I definitely love that reply. But we definitely have to wrap up this conversation. It has been an amazing one. We were to have a conversation on matters, dreadlocks. But we definitely have that particular conversation. We definitely have to wrap it up. But again, remind our viewers our top highlights of this particular day. Should we remind them the highlights even as we continue? The first story being on matters parking fees. Fred?
Yes, Nairobi motorists brace for tougher times as city county government announces a hike in parking fees to 300 shillings, up from 200 for sedans in the next 10 days.
Quack. And internationally, what is happening in Morocco? Death toll from the devastating earthquake in Morocco rises close to 3,000 as villagers continue digging through the rubble with bare hands in search of dead relatives and survivors.
And in sports, Italian club Juventus provisionally suspends French midfielder Paul Pogba after he tested positive for elevated levels of testosterone.
Big story this morning. 1 in every 8 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65 years is currently using alcohol, with Western Kenya topping the list of regions with the highest prevalence of alcoholism in Kenya. According to findings that the National Authority for the Campaign Against National Alcohol and Drug Abuse, that is NACADA, alcohol is the most abused substance in the country, followed by tobacco, miraa and bang. NACADA's national survey on the status of drugs and substance use also shows increased demand for cheaper and readily available alcoholic products, especially chang'aa, traditional alcoholic beverages, and potable spirits. Nairobi region has the highest prevalence of manufactured legal alcohol at 10.3%, followed by Central with 10% and Eastern at 8.4%. Western region had the highest prevalence of current use of chang'aa at 11.4%, followed by Nyanza and Rift Valley at 6.3% and 3.6% respectively.
from that Nakada report. Our question today was, are we losing the war against drug abuse? And the conversation will definitely continue online even beyond this show. You can use our social media platforms at TV47 News on X and TV47 Kenya on Facebook. Keep the comments coming. And this is where we wrap up this edition of Morning Cafe. Thank you so much for being with us from 6 a.m. up until now. My name is Fred Ndemuli. Have a good morning.
The news to Stanley Nyerugita. Have yourself a terrific Tuesday morning. On behalf of the entire crew that made this possible, goodbye.